Okay, now let's take a look at the plays and playwrights of ancient Greek theater. We'll also take a look at the performance devices and techniques of the period and see how they influence today's theater. First, let's take a look at the predominant form of theater in the early years, tragedy. The typical types of plays performed during this period were tragedies, comedies, and what were referred to as satyr plays. Of these, tragedy was the most popular. It's hard for us today to imagine that tragedy was an overwhelmingly favorite form of theater, but it was. The word tragedy, when translated directly from the ancient Greek language, means goat song. We can't say with certainty how this applies to the word and concept of tragedy. The natural assumption is that since we now know that theater evolved from the ancient Greek rituals, the word may be addressing a common sacrifice that was performed during the dithyrambic choral performances. We once again turn to Aristotle's Poetics to define this genre of theater. Aristotle said that tragedy is an imitation of an action that is whole and complete and is of a certain magnitude. He goes on to explain that the tragic hero, in this form of drama, experiences a catastrophe, from which the audience experiences what he referred to as catharsis. We think of tragedy today as being weighty in its subject matter and in the nature of its action. By describing this work of art as whole and complete and of a certain magnitude, this has obviously been true from the beginning. The tragic hero in tragedy has certain qualities that seem to hold true through the centuries. Aristotle said that the tragic hero was a man who is eminently good. That is to say, he is known for his goodness. There is also a suggestion here that the tragic hero is someone from the ranks of nobility. In this way, the fall of the tragic hero, and his fall is an important part of the action of tragedy, becomes most significant. Aristotle went on to describe the tragic hero as someone who suffered from some flaw of character. This is referred to as the tragic flaw. The tragic flaw was a quality in the hero's character which, under most circumstances, would be viewed as a strength. But in view of the circumstances of tragedy, it is a quality that ultimately causes the downfall of the tragic hero. In the ancient Greek tragedy Oedipus Rex, the central character, Oedipus, is said to suffer from the tragic flaw that Greeks referred to as hamartia, or an overweening pride. This sense of pride in other circumstances can be viewed as confidence, and in a ruler it is a quality to be admired. But in the case of Oedipus, this pride becomes a flaw that prevents him from seeing the truth and ultimately causes his downfall. Aristotle pointed out that an important element of tragedy is that, because of this tragic flaw, the tragic hero experienced a catastrophe. Now, we know what a catastrophe is in our lives. The dog eats our homework, and that's a catastrophe. However, Aristotle's notion of tragedy is somewhat different. A catastrophe in tragedy is a terrible event that is brought about not by outside forces, but is caused by the tragic hero himself. This catastrophe creates a dramatic device known as a reversal, or reversal of fortune. The reversal is an action that reveals to the tragic hero that he has gone from his lofty position to a tragic downfall. Aristotle points out that the tragic hero accepts the responsibility for his own downfall and therefore accepts his own fate. In Poetics, it is said that the audience experiences catharsis. It is difficult to interpret Aristotle's exact meaning of this term, but catharsis has come to mean an emotional purging. It naturally follows that a tragedy should affect the audience emotionally. But there is also implied in this term a community event where all the members of society recognize, in the downfall of the tragic hero, their own fate and the fate of all human beings. The serious nature of this shared experience harkens back to the religious nature of these tragedies. Also, it addresses the instinct of humans to come together and share the human experience. When we go to a play and watch a serious drama, or even a comedy, we are responding emotionally to the truths we recognize in the human fiction that is played out before us. In this way, the earliest tragedies has the same elements of the plays we watch today. Well, it's time for you to go to your task. After you're finished, come back and we'll discuss the playwrights of the ancient Greek period and see how their contribution to theater advanced the art form and revealed how the art of theater evolved away from its religious roots and became an art form in and of itself. We'll see you on the other side of the task assignment.